Okay, we'll go. You guys ready? Okay, at 6:30, we'll call the special Sawyer County Board of Supervisors meeting on the public hearing for the 2021 budget to order. Carol, may we have a roll call, please?
Bill Schleter.
Here.
Jesse Betcher.
Here.
Tweed Schumann.
Here.
Troy Morgan. Here. James Schlender.
Here.
Mark Helwig.
Here.
Thomas Duffy. Here. Bruce Paulson.
Bruce Paulson. Okay.
He is online.
Okay.
Susie Taylor. Chuck Van Etten.
Here.
Dale Olson. Here. Don Pettit.
He just joined.
Don, we're taking roll call.
I'm here.
Ron Kinsley. Ron Buckholz. Ed Peters.
Thank you, Carol. Let the record indicate we have a quorum. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, certification of compliance with open meetings law. Carol, please.
This meeting has been noticed to the members of this board, to the public, and to the news media as required by section 19.84 of the Wisconsin statutes.
Thank you, Carol. All right, then we'll move on. The meeting agenda has been presented. Moving on to number 4, 2021 budget status. Mr. Hoff.
Thank you.
Welcome, Susie.
Okay, welcome to the public hearing for the 2021 Sawyer County budget. There are some attachments that were provided in your agenda that have been updated today with everything that you would be approving next Tuesday. So today we'll just run through the overview of the budget again, just to refresh your memories on where we're at and what we're doing. And then after I give that brief presentation, then the chair would open the floor for public comments regarding the budget. So we've seen this before, but for review, we're looking at a tax rate for 2021 of 3.321, which is a 4.53 increase over last year. And you've got the history on some up and downs that have happened over the previous years. The levy, and again, the levy is the amount that we're taxing property taxes for operations for the county. There's the operating levy, operating and debt levy, which is up about 5.91%. That's your operating levy. That includes a portion that's within the levy limits and also the proposed debt, which we'll talk about a little bit later. Special purpose levy are those things that fall outside the levy limits, and we'll have a slide that looks at that too. But the total overall increase in the levy proposed here is 5.58%. Just a little bit more detail on what that levy limit calculation is. Of course, that base operating levy of just over 10 million. We're allowed net new construction. That's the new construction that has occurred in the previous year, and an allocation of that of 91,000. That debt levy increase, we'll talk about the debt as we move along, but that gives us that base levy, to which we add the special service levy, and those are the library service, bridge and culvert aid, and EMS operations that make up the total levy of $12,395,368. So if you look at what was approved last year compared to what's being proposed this year, that's where the 5.58% increase in spending comes from. We did talk about library services. And those are services that are exempt from the levy limit. And we did talk about the various libraries outside of the county, as well as those within the county, and the allocation that has been proposed there. And with that is the minimum county payment that's based on a calculation by statute. The budget summary, so again, the departments came in with requests. We take a look at those and adjust things where we can to get things under the levy limits. I'll draw your attention to the middle portion there, a couple of significant items. The Health and Human Service budget, their budget contains many different services, as you know, and they came in with a budget that's pretty consistent with what they've done in the past as far as services and spending. The big difference is the out-of-county placements, the mental health placements that we talk about. And funding that through levy is difficult. We've got $1 million fund balance in that fund, so the proposal is to use that fund balance to fund those services to the tune of about $762,000. Those are significant dollars, and it's an issue that's certainly at the top of our agenda to take a look at and in the future. Highway, the county E-Bridge, we would be using debt proceeds instead of county levy for that. Highway, we did shift some levy to use some of the highway fund balance to the tune of $200,000. And then the other issue there, the $500,000 of highway equipment that would be funded by debt proceeds instead of debt levy. So that's where we free up some of that money in the operating levy to pay for existing services and paying for some of those highway capital costs and other capital costs through the proceeds of debt that we would be issuing in later this year to be used in 2021. Fund balance, we talk about fund balance and how that is significant. The general fund, Fund 100, we call it in the accounting world, is the one we're most concerned about, and that's where we try and keep that fund balance between 20 and 33% of general fund expenditures. And we're at the bottom end of that range right now. We're still have a relatively healthy fund balance, but that's what we try and protect and use only when necessary, because that's kind of the lifeline if everything goes awry, which it seems to be doing this year. So, but we are in good shape financially this year. We saw the audit report from last year, which showed we've got a healthy financial system right now. So, so far so good, but these are the things that we watch out for and keep an eye on as far as where we are with our spending. The organizations that we fund that are funded with operating levy, these are things that are not county services, but those are items that the county in the past has elected to contribute dollars to. And so we've had some discussion about those things in the past. But those are the current list of items that have been requested, along with the recommended amount. That is the amount that is in the budget currently. We had this slide in there a couple years ago. I put it back in now. You ask, why can we give money? Why can we tax our citizens and give money to these organizations? Well, we can't just do it to anyone. We have to we're only allowed to do certain things, and that's all by statute. So these are the statutes that kind of reference those different organizations that you have funded. We can't just fund any organization. They have to be, by statute, things that you are allowed to spend money on. So everything that you have been given money to is certainly allowable by statute. Again, this was a statute for the Visitors Bureau that came up in the past about, can we contribute money there? And there's a specific statute for that recognizes that you can spend money on attractions and resources of the county. The EMS levy, that's another one of the items that falls outside the levy limit, but certainly a significant dollar amount that gets invested in our EMS service. The Capital purchase of ambulance, we've been trying to purchase a new ambulance every year as we rotate that stock of 7 ambulances. We've are going to forego the purchase of an ambulance this year because we do have a significant expense in cardiac monitors that we have to make this year. That's a regulation or some legislation that makes the cardiac monitors we have now obsolete, so we do need to purchase those in early 2021 to be in compliance. So overall, the EMS levy is up slightly, and the tax rate on that is about 33 cents. Employee compensation, obviously services are what we provide, and they're provided by people, so our employees rely on us trying to keep up with the market value of the services they provide. So in the budget, there is a 1.5% increase in the overall pay grid that would be effective in July of 2021. In addition to that, new employees progress through steps. We've got a step system for compensation, and so that's in the budget currently. Health insurance, we just kind of put that to bed as far as what we're doing for health insurance. It's always another significant portion of the budget. Originally, we had budgeted 8% increase. We got a quote back in at 8.9. We were able to get that back down to 6.5. So that's what's in the budget now, is that 6.5% increase for health insurance, and we've made some adjustments so that we can accommodate that expenditure within the budget. We're also making some changes to the HRA and FSA plans. We're moving to a different service provider for that, and we'll be rolling out those changes and explaining just what's happening with health insurance and the benefits in open enrollment, virtual open enrollment on November 12th. A couple of FTE, those are full-time equivalent. Proposed changes: district attorney, a half legal secretary. Health and Human Services has deleted a couple of open positions, and we're deleting one full-time position in highway and utilizing LTE, a limited term employee, to get us through the snow plowing season. Highway is staffed basically for snow plowing. You know, there's certain routes and trucks that are available for snow plowing. But last year we did this system and it worked out pretty well, so we're going to utilize that again this year. This is kind of a busy schedule. The point of it is this is the capital improvement plan, so you've got more of the detail in your packets. But what you're approving within the budget, you know, although this is a 5-year plan, you're only approving that first year, the 2021 column for expenditures in 2021. But we do provide that 5-year plan just so that we can kind of smooth things out and not have big bumps in the road as far as expenditures occurring in a single year. The obvious exception to that is the expenditures that we would make for a new facility for courtroom, the Second Circuit Court. If Sawyer County is awarded that, that would require us to build that courtroom. So we do have that kind of split apart. If you look at 2021 in about the middle of the page, proceeds from debt issuance facility, $2 million in 2021, $5 million in 2022. Those are just estimates of those expenditures based on the information that we got on the building, and of course the preparation of the building site. You know, if the 5th Street, California Avenue situation passes the city's adoption next Monday, then we would have an agreement with the city to vacate 5th Street for a location for that courthouse. So those expenditures, you know, that was about $400,000 to $500,000 for that preparation, and then preparation of architectural development would also occur probably in 2021, so we could get building in 2022. So if you look at the very first line, you'll see that the expenditures, you know, about $2 million and $5 million. There's some other things in that line item, but that's kind of the relationship between the expenditure on that top line versus the debt to pay for those expenditures in the middle of the page. So the building of that courtroom, would not happen until we issue debt. So there's many steps before that, and this board would have to adopt a resolution to issue that debt before that could actually happen. So there are a few more steps. So even though it's in the CIP stated this way, there are other opportunities to take a look at how much you're going to spend, when you're going to spend it, or if you're going to spend it in the future. The other capital items in there are, the highway equipment that we've talked about before, and the other, this is the summary page, so there's a lot of detail behind that. I won't go into that unless you've got some specific questions. We talked about the capital funded by debt, and that debt that we would issue, these are the items that are identified that would be funded by that debt, about $988,818. So that's equipment that had previously would have been funded out of the operating levy is now funded by this debt. And why are we doing that? You can see historically we've kind of had some up and downs in the levy. What we're trying to do through a debt plan that we've developed and the capital improvement plan, which we developed a couple years ago, is try and smooth out those expenditures and those bumps in the road for the taxes, try and make it more consistent. Now, moving to this debt scenario, we'll have a couple of years of some higher levies as we kind of change into that system, but then eventually that would go back down as that debt kind of levels off and rolls off. So the current debt schedule and the requirements, that capital borrowing in 2021 of about $900,000 plus some interest would be added to the existing debt. So we've got the existing debt of the jail. That was a 2012 refunding bond, and also the 2019 debt for the Ojibwa ambulance station. We've got debt payments on those too. So again, we're here to hear public comments on anything that I've covered tonight, plus any other thing that is on the public's mind as far as the county operations, what we do, the services that we provide, any changes they would like to see. They can certainly make any comments about that. So as the chair opens that up for the public comments, those in the room obviously can raise your hand when the chair acknowledges. Those that are online, if you've got comments to make, there's a raise your hand kind of button on your screen, and if you're on the phone, you would hit *9 and wait to be recognized. So, and then board members as well can do that same system, and you'll have an opportunity as a board to discuss any of the comments that take place this evening. So I turn it back to the chair, unless you've got other questions now, and we can also address questions after the comment
public
period.
hearing, yep.
Yep.
Great, thank you, Tom. Okay, so at this time then, I'll entertain a motion that we go into a public hearing on the 2021 budget. Mr. Buckholz.
I make a motion that we go into public hearing.
Mr. Duffy. Second, I got a motion by Mr. Buckholz, second by Mr. Duffy, to go into a public hearing on the 2021 budget. Is there any discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, anyone here that would like to approach the board, please come to the podium and state your name, and we're here to listen.
Good evening. My name is Donna Nucky, and I'm the Winter Public Library Director. And I'm here to share with you the importance of continuing the funding of the libraries at the amount requested, and what services we offer to the communities that our libraries serve. Libraries in Sawyer County do not have municipalities that fund their operational costs. So when Act 150 and 420 went into effect and designed a formula for minimal funding for libraries, higher than the funding for libraries based on circulation by counties. Sawyer County was generous in funding libraries higher than the minimum requirement. The libraries would not be able to keep their doors open nor sustain services without the funding provided by the county at the current level. I have submitted a request of $73,267 from the county, which is the same amount as the last few years. We do seek additional funds through grants, donations, and fundraising, as our total budget for next year is at $90,732. This year has been difficult as far as fundraising opportunities due to the cancellation of large events in the winter area in which our fundraisers benefit from. We have sought competitive grants and were awarded a Wisconsin Humanities Cares grant to help offset the cost of PPE equipment and purchasing hand sanitizing stations to ensure as much as possible a safe environment and place for patrons to visit. We also receive a collection development grant from NWLS, and I know that Hayward has also been awarded the CARES grant and also the collection development grant. But I want to tell you that libraries do more than just circulate materials. Libraries offer services to people from all demographics, regardless of age, ethnicity, income, or disability. The library doors were closed by the state for a few weeks in March and were able to reopen in April. Our doors may have been closed, but the staff during that time was working from home, responding to patron emails and requests, assisting patrons with navigating job and unemployment sites, as well as attending virtual professional development. And then libraries transitioned to curbside pickup services and eventually reopening access to buildings. Winter is continuing curbside pickup and building access by appointment so that we can meet the needs of all of our patrons. We still have people that are uncomfortable coming into the building. We're a small 1,200 square foot building and tight quarters. We have seen an increase in usage of the Wi-Fi. Every year I come and present to the board. Many of the seasonal residents and weekend people are staying here longer and into the fall, and they use the library's Wi-Fi to access meetings virtually, as well as stay connected with their families. We have recently expanded our Wi-Fi access to reach further on the outskirts of the building at this time. Winter school is meeting virtually, and we have students that utilize our Wi-Fi to access their schoolwork as well. We know that bandwidth issues, as well as the ability to even secure internet services in some remote locations, is difficult for already struggling families. CenturyLink does not even offer internet services at my residence, and I know there are many other households in the same situation. Our library is located on Main Street in Winter, and I want to invite anybody to stop by and visit us. But we're used for a variety of organizations and entities that meet with clients. We offer a variety of programming opportunities all year long, and now with the way the situation is, most of it's virtual. More importantly, the staff offers that friendly connection with patrons, especially those that feel isolated during these trying times. Without the assistance and advocacy from Northern Waters Library Service, library directors and staff would be struggling more than we are right now to be creative in offering inclusive services so that everyone can access and utilize the libraries and their services. And I know Northern Waters Library Service is our system that the libraries in Sawyer County are a part of. And I know that Sherry, I believe, is online, but I wanted to share a little about what she does for the county funding. County funds that are appropriated to Northern Waters Library Service go directly to services for residents in our county. Vital residential services paid through these funds are through mail a book. So if a person lives 15 miles or more from their local library or homebound, they could get the book directly from mail a book. Delivery of library materials. We have collection development grants, so the funds that you fund to Northern Waters is also a portion given back to the libraries. They also help fund electronic materials and their usage, and then they offer databases as well. And so I just want to stress the importance and thank you very much for your time and your continued funding of the libraries, and please consider us for what we requested this year. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next.
Hi, my name is Jenny Wergeland, and I teach kindergarten at the Winter School District. I'm also the secretary of the Winter Public Library Board, and I'm going to read a letter on behalf of one of our patrons and former employees, Mary Kay Black. She wasn't able to attend the meeting, so she asked that I read this for her. To whom it may concern. As a Winter Public Library patron, a retired teacher and librarian of the Winter School District, and a former employee of the Winter Public Library, I'm writing this letter in support of full funding for the Winter Public Library. Their services are vital to our county and communities. Because of the Winter Library, several things can happen. Summer programming is available for children as well as adults of all ages. There is now a safe environment for students to go after school. A general meeting space is available for various government and private agencies to meet with clients, as well as for community groups such as book clubs, writing groups, author events, and community planning sessions. Higher learning degrees are now more achievable for many students as they are able to take classes online or to have exams proctored locally rather than having to travel long distances. They provide a local space to display art, writing, and the talents of locals as well as students. There's a cooperative partnership with not only the school, but UW Extension, Lions Club, Senior Resource Center, the Department of Vocational Rehabilitation, and I know that she's constantly looking for more. They provide a welcoming space that's available for our elders to gather, to learn new skills, have conversations, and feel connections, and while they use the many services. Winter Public Library provides books and materials through community donations to anyone who signs up, especially students. It's also an internet provider for many patrons who have little to no internet services at their homes or cabins. They can conduct business and personal communications much more easily. And of course, on top of all of that, they provide books, magazines, DVDs, and audiobooks from almost anywhere in the country. The Winter Public Library provides much more than simply circulation. It's a continually growing hub for people of the many communities to gather and connect in a safe space. Thank you for your time and consideration. Respectfully, Mary K. Block. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. Okay, anyone else? Yes, sir.
Rick Christian, Sawyer County Fair Board President. We increased what we were asking for this year by, I think about $3,500 for operating balance, or operating budget, and $10,000 for capital improvements. For about the last 3 or 4 years, we've had temporary stalls set up for horses as our horse program has been growing. And so we've set up temporary stalls that have been okay for the last couple of years. We've been trying to build new permanent stalls, and with the extra $10,000 that we were asking for capital gains or capital improvements, we want to do the stalls and also add a clay mixture to our horse arena. Currently, our horse arena has got soft spots in it and some holes, and each year the kids complain about it with safety for the horses, and so that's a big thing that we want to make improvements on the fairgrounds. And all of the money that we were asking for is completely for materials. Nothing's for labor. I've secured volunteers to make sure we get all the stalls built for free, and all the work done on the arena as well. So none of the money that from the county would be for any kind of labor for anybody to prosper from what we were doing. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Okay, next. Sir.
Hi, my name is Matt Ostrander. I'm the president of the board at the Weiss Community Library. Molly Lang Jones would like to be here to speak to you, but she can't this evening. Luckily, the good folks from Winter went before me, so you already have a good idea of all the things that libraries do. So I won't go over all that again. We are doing all the same things for people that we've done in the past. We're just having to do more online, more socially distanced. It's very challenging. It's a complicated time to be affiliated with a library, but that's true of everybody. Mostly I just want to thank you for your past support of the library and plead that you will continue that support at the same level. Our needs are certainly not diminishing. Do you have any questions for me?
No, thank you, sir.
Okay, thanks.
Yep. Okay, is there anyone else? Mike, do we have anyone online?
No hands raised.
No hands raised? Yep.
There's a hand up.
Got a hand up? Okay.
Sherry Mahonas.
Who is it?
Sherry Mahonas.
Oh, Sherry. Okay, go ahead, Sherry.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Okay, I figured I'd continue the library chat for a little bit longer. I'm sorry I can't be there tonight, but because my staff and I were exposed to COVID, we are in quarantine, as that's a typical story nowadays. So again, I'm very sorry that I can't be there in person. I would love to be rather than quarantined, let me tell you. So you've heard great words by Donna about what your funding for libraries do, and specifically like how Northern Waters helps our libraries. I just want to say thank you for your support and your understanding throughout all the years. We desperately rely on the funding that you give. Your funding to Northern Waters is really vital, especially at this time where libraries have to continue to open and close depending on what's happening in their communities. And we provide patrons their access to all e-materials. And so that's where a large chunk of your funding does go to. So we are still providing resources to your patrons, no matter what the status of if they can come into buildings or not. Another core service that Donna did mention is the mail-a-book program, where we do have dedicated librarians that work with patrons in rural or homebound cases, which this year the number of homebound people who can't go out have just skyrocketed as well. And so we mail them materials at our own cost, and they can return it at no cost to them. So it's really a service that has really expanded through this time, and people really rely on it. Some of your citizens, we're the only ones that they get to talk to on a regular basis, and it really means the world to them that we keep providing these services. And so I guess I'm here for any questions that you might have for me, and just thank you so much for the support.
Yep, thank you, Sherry. Okay, Mike, is there anyone else online?
No.
Okay, if not, then I'll entertain a motion to come out of our public hearing. Mr. Buckholz?
I make a motion, Mr. Chairman, to come out of public hearing.
Yes, sir. Mr. Kinsley? Second. Okay, I got a motion by Mr. Buckholz, second by Mr. Kinsley, to come out of our public hearing on the 2021 budget. Is there any further discussion? If none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, thank you all for your comments. Moving on then to number 6, budget discussion, possible action. This is where we open up to the board. Any discussion regarding the 2021 budget? Any supervisors online, Mike?
No hands up.
Okay, Mr. Schlender.
I want to just add this one thing to the record. We had our economic development meeting on Monday. Mr. Christians came in and presented, and the bit of information that is overlooked, and in this season of turmoil, I just wanted to be acknowledged that we held a Sawyer County Fair. We had diminished participation, but we had people working twice as hard for safety precautions. And even though there was, the participation wasn't as was in previous years, everyone that was there were no COVID outbreaks. There was nothing attached to that. And we hear this in the press all the time about super spreader events. And so I want to somehow recognize Mr. Christians and his staff, because they did a lot of work to do that. And there's no, we should be thankful for that, because that's a public event that reflects well on the county, and his work should be acknowledged.
Thank you, Mr. Schlender. Agree. Okay, anybody online, Mike?
No hands up.
Okay. If there's no further discussion, then we are adjourned.
Good job.
Thank you all. And thank you in the audience. Appreciate that. Yeah. Good job, Rick.